Does anyone know if Commissioner Willie is coming today to the meeting? I see Megan is here. Megan, do you know if Commissioner Willie is due today?
I will message with him. My understanding is yes, so I will check.
All right, so we're going to get going then. It's 9 o'clock. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Clerk Moss. Are we recording now? It says we're on air.
Yes, we are ready to go, Madam Chair.
Great. Thank you. So welcome, everyone, to the June 21st, 2022 Washington County Board of Commissioners work session. This is Chair Catherine Harrington, and we have a full complement of commissioners: Commissioner Pam Treese, Commissioner Nafisa Fai, Commissioner Roy Rogers, and Commissioner Willie has just joined us. Why don't we get going with leadership communication? Which of the commissioners would like to go first? Commissioner Treese, you're unmuted. Would you like to go first?
I'm never going to learn. I am never going to learn. Yes, I'd be happy to go first. The last week was busy just for me, like everybody else. I had a CPO meeting on Tuesday of last week. I was, quote, the headliner, but there were so many things going on that I only had about 7 minutes to talk. So I attend the CPO meetings on a regular basis, so I'm certain that I'll have an opportunity to revisit. But they did. I talked about what plans we've got into the future. So talked about our climate strategy in relationship to our overall strategy. I talked about reapportionment, the budget equity tool, the fact that today is the day that we hold our meeting to approve the budget. So, and then I went through the long list of transportation and land use related topics that I have that are relevant to CPO1 attendees. I attended the ERMDAC meeting. There was a great presentation from Amanda and Marcus about the OEICE team and the county's equity, diversity, and inclusion initiatives. And then we also reviewed the URMD, the Urban Road Maintenance District. I always want to say ERMDAC, not just earned, budget, and gave an update there. The community action meeting, I attended that as well. I don't know that there's anything really pertinent to report. I'm sure most of you know that Catherine Gallion is leaving. She's moving on, so that's going to be a significant position that Kemp is going to be filling. They are also working on their own equity statement. This week I have the Union Gospel groundbreaking. This is a groundbreaking for a new home for women and children. It's on Rock Creek Boulevard. I've kind of been following along to see what they're doing there. So I will be attending that. I'm meeting with Representative McLean, and I have a dog. So he wanted to participate, I guess. The other piece that I wanted to mention is I'm attending MPAC this week. And on the agenda is an update on the parks. Apologize, I do. On the agenda is an update on the parks and nature bond and levy. That will be from Metro. Then there's going to be an emerging transportation trend study recommendation for the 2023 regional transportation plan. And then we're going to get an update on the Tigard mid-cycle UGB expansion from Metro and the city of Tigard. There'll also be consideration of MTAC nominees. So that's on tap. If you have any input, please let me know. And then we've got the county town hall on Thursday evening.
Wonderful. Thank you. Who would like to go next? Thank you,
I'll
Commissioner
jump in there.
Willie.
Yeah, mine's not nearly as detailed and long as Pam's, because she sounds like she had a really busy week, and I had a little upset with the COVID issue, so mine got a little bit changed. So a number of my meetings were moved into future events. I did attend the juvenile justice training from the PSCC committee, and Lynn and her team did a great job of bringing us up to speed kind of on what are their vision and certainly their mission and purposes. They talked about the Hawkins House, and we just got an update on a variety of things. So it was really, really good. So I just want to say thank you, Lynn, for all the work that you and your team put together to bring us up to speed on that. We also, Roy and I got an update on the reapportionment process right now, and that'll be an interesting conversation coming to us pretty soon. So I'm looking forward to that. And then this week, there's a number of things going on, but I think for me, the fun one is going to be Friday. We are going to an AOCC, Association of Oregon and California Counties, tour of the Sandy Am fire. And so we will be leaving in the morning, coming back, of course, late in the afternoon. And that ought to be very educational as to just the damage and certainly the devastation that was caused by that fire. So that's about what I've got this week.
Wonderful. Glad to see you're healthy again. Commissioner Rogers or Commissioner Fry?
Sure. I'll give a little bit of update since the last time we talked. I attended the King City State of the City last Wednesday night. Jamie did a really good job in that she kept it very concise. Always nice to hear something that lasts about 15, 20 minutes, and then you get on to other things. On Thursday, Jerry mentioned we had a reapportionment meeting together. That was a interesting meeting, and I think the only comment that I would share with you on there that I thought that you might want to know, it appears that we've really dissected the city of Hillsborough with a number of commission districts, and it might be best to look at, this is my comment, to look at that again. On Friday morning, I had a HB 217 transit committee, and Catherine does she chairs the one for Washington County. All we do is place the big pots of money in various categories. That was unanimously approved. And then it gets down local where I guess the real action happens. I also got an ARPA update on Friday as well, and interesting to see what we're doing there. Last night I was at the Broadway Rose. That's a local theater here, and they had a 2-year-old ribbon cutting. They were unable to do it for the last couple of years because of COVID, so that was a nice event. Let's see, what else do I need to share with you? Probably going to meet with our new CFO in a couple of days to have him pick my brain and me pick his brain a little bit about finances there in the county. And then we have our Thursday night meeting, as you've indicated. And that's, yesterday at lunch there was a sort of an aborted Tualatin Chamber business meeting that I normally attend. There was only about a handful of us because they forgot to tell us it was a holiday. We all knew, but they forgot to cancel the meeting. And I think they're doing the Hillsborough one next Monday as well, and I think Jerry attends that one as well. So that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. How about you, Commissioner Fye?
Yes, Chair Harrington, thank you. Good morning. I'll start off and say, yes, I too had the ARPA briefing and the reapportionment meeting. My meeting, I think Commissioner Pam Trees and I did it together, and it was interesting looking at the 4 maps and learning more about how that was put together, and the criteria, reminding ourselves some of the criteria that we submitted, and it's a good refresher, and look forward to that discussion at our board level so that the community can also understand what we're thinking and where we're going with this. And then the ARPA, I'm really excited and look forward to that conversation as well. I think the team, Rachel and Dorian, had a really solid plan to present and to get my thoughts on what the next tranche of funding will be on that. And then last week I had, I met with Preschool for All group of people, and that was a good conversation. And then last week as well, I had JPAC meeting. There were a number of items. I won't bore you with it. I think I could send the agenda. What was it? But at a high level review, there was a really good conversation around emerging trends study, and then also a freight and commodity study that was presented. And I think definitely the emerging trends study had a lot of discussions and people thinking ahead in the next 20 years, and how do we meet the demands in the future, and what innovations can we learn from the pandemic to put in place. So that was a really good conversation. And then there were a couple amendments on MTIP in some resolutions, but basically at a high level, it was adding a new project to paint Fremont Bridge. So, and then another one was adding more funding for ADA and curb ramp on OR 141, which is Whole Boulevard, just so the viewing audience, and then Southwest and 72nd, and then 217, Highway 217. And then there was another resolution around amending MTIP, and this is adding TriMet's new Willamette share line rail. So that was a one amendment, and then complete required cost increases to ODOT's curb ramp project because costs are increasing. And then we had another resolution, and this was also something that our board got a board presentation here, and was the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. Or that group was looking for an endorsement from JPAC around modified their LPA, which gives the team the ability to move forward into their supplemental environmental impact statement and work on finance and legislative strategy. So they got there, I think it was unanimous. I think people had questions and sort of mitigating future, this project is getting the the cost is increasing, as you all know. So people had concerns about that. And then I also had last week, I'll wrap it up, Chair Hendon, a little bit of JPAC seemed to be a packed agenda last week, but other than JPAC and transportation, I had a meeting with a community member who runs an organization called Assist, Melanie Calvin. And I think Commissioner Willie as well met with her. And this was the Assist program help individuals experiencing homelessness and poverty get access to income, which allows them to pay for their homes and healthcare. And I think she was just wondering some applications that she submitted to Washington County around the SHS funding and how to navigate around that. So that was a really good question, and look forward to, I think the staff are helping to navigate that. And then I attended the Chehalem Ridge celebration. Instead of a ribbon cutting, there was a rock placing event or celebration that took place, and it was very well put together and had a lot of community members and attended. And it was really oriented respecting the land and the Native American culture, and we started off with a Native American song, and I just really appreciated the respect that we gave to the land in terms of celebrating and taking the lead from our community and our tribal members to say, rather than ribbon cutting, perhaps rock placing, and here's the significant meaning of that. And then finally, this weekend was full of activities. There was the Portland Pride happened this weekend, and then there was a multiple refugee walk that took place. And And I had the honor of also participating Juneteenth celebration with the Beaverton Black Family Group, and my kids and I had a wonderful time celebrating and just being among community members on that day. And that wraps up my board update, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. On your JPAC update, thank you very much for covering the different aspects of that. On the emerging trends, looking out 20 years in the future, it reminds me of one of the key learnings that I had while a Metro counselor, and that is that population growth does not mean that you'll have increasing congestion. Via those, what you can and should work on is increasing mode share. This was based upon the multiple get-centered, transit-oriented development trips up to Vancouver, British Columbia, not just that city, but surrounding cities that make up that region, and seeing how they worked on urban form and transportation connectivity. So that shows us that we can continue to work on our urban form, our transportation solutions, and our connectivity in order to ensure that we have housing choices for people of all ages, all incomes, and all abilities in all places, and provide with that opportunity additional access, whether walking, rolling, driving, what have you. So thank you. Really appreciate that. And thank you too for going to the Chehalem Ridge celebration. It's the culmination of a lot of work done to acquire the land from the former lumber company and decades of restoration work. I was just up there hiking myself last Sunday, I think it was, a week ago Sunday. Last week for me, after our meetings on Tuesday, later in the day, I drove out to Hermiston so that I could participate in the AOC Legislative Committee retreat. It was a very productive retreat. We adopted the resolutions for the NACO conference coming up in July. And you can all see that through the packet. And then we proceeded to pick up on information from the board of directors retreat that they had back in March, which has a planning process and details for a legislative framework. So there was also a lot of work done through that facilitated meeting to look at how the steering committees go about doing their work. So that will involve some further requirements on the steering committees to define, let me fetch out my cheat sheet here of my notes, to define what where the nexus is between the proposed legislation or ideas and how there is commonality across all of the counties. And we had some really fun group exercises to flush that out so that there was good shared understanding about the goal statements and the strategies for moving forward on each of those. So I want to ensure that at our July and forward rolling agenda roundtables, that we go over the steering committees and take an inventory of who's doing what. I know that myself, I have and will continue to be active with the Public Safety Steering Committee. I know Commissioner Fye has done some work with Health and Human Services. Those were the two breakout sessions that I attended. So going from there, and there's quite a bit of nexus between the HHS Steering Committee and the Public Safety Steering Committee moving forward. Unfortunately, I misplaced my notes from the steering committee meeting. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I had a meeting with Paige Spence, at least, on this last Thursday before I left. So it was a really, really good meeting. So I still continue to have my reservations about the adopted budget framework for membership, and this being really the second year of implementing that, but the increase in dues just seeing out of proportion for service. And you've heard about that from me before. Anyway, do expect that there will be some additional special meetings of the steering committees as we move forward. And we do have the District 8 AOC meeting coming up on, whoops, I had to put my glasses back on, Monday, September 26th. I think I have that right. So Commissioner Treese, being the vice chair for District 8, is working with her counterpart, the chair, Sonia Fisher, to plan that out for us. So thank you, Commissioner Treese. I was on my first summer vacation this season, Friday through Monday. I traveled back to Maine to join all of my cousins, pretty much, except for two. I think 2 of the 11, or is it 13? 13, yes. There were 11 of us celebrating my youngest uncle's 80th birthday. So that was a lot of fun. Commissioner Treese and I and Ms. Angie and Mr. Carr met with, and Philip as well, met with the co-chairs of Preschool for All, as well as their campaign consultants and a couple of other associated folks, to ensure that they understood the situation with Washington County, that our April decision, and that in order for there to be a referral through the board for sponsorship, that essentially we would have had to have a lot of work done that we don't have done. So they did hear and receive the message. Of course, they communicated their big disappointment in that, but disappointment is shared amongst various parties involved there, Commissioner Treese and I as well. And we know we're not alone, but the situation is what the situation is. We also, they did ask questions about following up with a signature referral. Mr. Carr verified that since they're proposing an additional tax and a new tax, that only the November ballots are the place, where the voters of Washington County could make a referral decision. So that's the situation. We all followed up on board direction. We've been very, very consistent about that. So if you have any doubts about that, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Commissioner Treese. This week, we have a packed day today. I'm also looking forward to our town hall on Thursday night with a theme of our older adult services to help ensure that our community members know what services are available to all to help. Then on Saturday, I'll be the fill-in rep for the TV Highway Steering Committee bus tour. And then on Sunday, I'll be participating in the Beaverton Gay Parade. Also, heads up to you, later this week, you will receive a final draft of the CWS CEO review for our consideration in the executive session next Tuesday. So please do make time to review that information prior to that meeting. So I have had similar briefings on the topics you all have talked about too. So yeah, great. That's it for me. How about you, Ms. Angie?
Sorry, my mouse wasn't quite cooperating yet. It was falling asleep. Good morning, Chair Harrington, Board of Commissioners. I am, on a personal note, celebrating the end of school. So as a reminder, Erin Calvert will be covering the executive session and the work session on my behalf this afternoon. I do want to draw your attention to a briefing memo that was sent to your board last week from Assistant County Administrator Marnie Kyle. This memo is related to alternative shelter locations. So it includes an update of a variety of shelter locations, including information on tiny homes, pod villages, as Commissioner Fye had requested. I would encourage board members to take the opportunity for a one-on-one briefing because staff are prepared to discuss some of the siting processes that we are actively working through to continue to expand our sheltering services and diverse sheltering services within Washington County.
Sign me up for one of those.
I already heard Daniel is already on it, so thank you, Chair.
Looks like Commissioner Trees too.
And I see Commissioner Willie nodding his head, and I'm assuming Commissioner Fye, you would want one as well. And Commissioner Rutt, okay, we will get it scheduled for the entire board. Thank you.
I had a question on that, Ari.
Why don't you take it to the briefing?
No, I rather ask right now because it's just a bit of a clarifying question, not the specifically what's in the memo. There was a request around feasibility study, not a memo. So is that still coming forward?
The feasibility of shelter locations, including tiny homes, pod villages, is part of that briefing memo. Commissioner Fye and the staff can talk more specifically through the siting process that we are working through.
So I'm not sure you answered the question. Is there a feasibility study coming forward is my question.
Read the memo and I think it will be clearer to you.
I
And
did
if
read
not-
the memo. Chair
Okay, so I
Harrington.
suggest, could you please follow up with Commissioner, with CAO Angie?
I'd rather follow up here, Chair Harrington, if that's okay with you, because this was a request that came in by 4 commissioner and Commissioner Rogers abstained, which isn't a no. So I'm wondering, a memo that has been, to me, I read the memo and great memo to the staff, great job. But that isn't what the request was, with all due respect. And even though I'm not in operations and my turf is in policy, I'm happy to work with the staff to figure out what should be in a feasibility study. But that memo is really previous memos put together is what I read that's been presented to our board. So I'm wondering, what more requests do you need, Ms. Angie, to put together a feasibility study on a tiny home? Because that was a specific request, not a memo. So just give us on a briefing or we can come back.
So Commissioner Fye, I'm not sure if we are using the same language and that and definition of terms. We are moving forward with citing, and within the one-on-one briefing, I would ask that you meet with staff on the citing, which can answer those questions. and staff are not prepared to bring that information forward in board discussion at this time for a variety of reasons.
Well, so when would the request for the board be answered? I'm not interested in a one-on-one. I'm interested in a feasibility study to come to the board level.
Well, I can say as one of those, I want to go over the situation with staff as laid out in that briefing memo with additional context that will be provided to me in that one-on-one briefing before I weigh in on any additional next steps.
Well, what additional next steps, Chair Harrington? Here, I think we're being all a bit of a argumentative here. Chair Harrington, with all due respect here, there was a specific request to put together feasibility studies. And what we've got in our mailbox is a memo on shelter options and alternative housings. So the terms are very clear, Miss Angie, that what you've got, the requested, the mandate you got is a feasibility study on a tiny home pot sites. And that's not what we got. And I'll stop right there. We can move forward.
So I think what you're interested in involves some property assessments, which is not appropriate for an open session. So that's one reason why our staff has been moving forward to do investigations and why it is appropriate for us to each have the opportunity of the situation and to hear more about that. If you would like to have a follow-up meeting with myself and Ms. Angie and Mr. Carr to better understand specifically what you're looking for, I'm more than happy to do that.
It's not me, it's what's in front of us. The request that came into the board to Tanya is a feasibility study on tiny home pods. And what is required in that, obviously, is my statement around operations. So when is that coming forward is the question here. I had my briefing with the staff. I get the real estate issues and not, but that I think we're getting ahead and into the weeds of what should be in the study or what should be in the feasibility report. All I'm asking is, when is that report coming forward to us, the timeline?
So I don't think that the four of us who weighed in are necessarily all on the same page in terms of what we're looking for. So it sounds like you have a very clear and specific idea, and I'm encouraging you to lay out specifically what you're looking for so that we all might have the opportunity of understanding that compared to our own information needs and what we were looking for. Happy to consider that for sure.
I'm happy to resend. What was agreed on is what was agreed on. So I think that's the conundrum here is we all, four of us agreed on a request. I'm not sure what should be in the request if that's the experts to decide, but you can't go back and say, what I agreed on is not what I want right now. So what's agreed on as a four members of it is feasibility study specifically. So I can resend that email. I'm happy to resend it, that email, but I don't think it's in. So
I would appreciate your sending what you're expecting in a feasibility study. If it just says, please do a feasibility study, then that won't be answering my question. But I'm really interested in better understanding what is requested. Thank you.
And that actually concludes my weekly updates.
Thank you. Mr. Carr?
Good morning, Chair Harrington. There's been a lot of litigation activity over the weekend and this morning that I'll bring you up to speed on. There's a case, Schwartz against Washington County, which is a challenge to Ordinance 878, the tobacco ordinance that the commission passed. It seeks to enjoin enforcement of that ordinance, which is actually already in effect. Yesterday, we got 72 pages of briefing from the plaintiffs for a hearing this morning. When John Mansfield showed up at the hearing this morning, they hadn't actually scheduled the hearing. So there was no hearing this morning and it will be reconsidered. And John will actually have some time to actually read the papers he got yesterday. I want to thank Dr. Bowman Davis, Mir Simantel, and Gwen Ashcom for all of their help in preparing the response to the motion for preliminary injunction. We're working together as a team to defend the action that the commission took against some pretty heavyweight legal talent on the other side from the tobacco industry. And John is doing a magnificent job with all of our team. I'm very pleased with his work. Ridwell, as you know, may have filed a motion for preliminary injunction to enjoin the commission's rules for additional recycling. That is to be heard next Monday. They also had a problem filing their papers on Friday for some reason. They did not get them filed. The rules require 5 days notice for any what we call order to show cause, which is how you do a preliminary injunction. So I agreed to waive that, to go ahead and allow the hearing. We'll see if they actually get anything filed today. I'm not sure what happened, but there are out-of-state lawyers working on that, so I'm not sure how their filing processes go. I actually had a lot of fun this weekend working on our response to their motion for preliminary injunction. I also got to spend a lot of time with my family, but a lot of time working on it, and it's really interesting stuff. And I will be handling that myself next Monday. That's my update. Thank you.
Can I ask a question about Ridwell?
Yes, of course.
I had the opportunity to read a newspaper article in Pamplin Media, and I just find it really puzzling how the numbers of customers that they cite and at least the quotes that are attributed to Ridwell in the article lead the reader. There's times when they're talking about our authority over the urban unincorporated areas, and then just saying unincorporated as though rural and urban unincorporated areas are the same, which they're not. And the other thing that struck me is how we've heard so many different numbers being used on customers and their target customers versus all areas. So I'm not interested in receiving all kinds of briefing documents and whatnot. But I would like to follow up with you. Oh yeah, it's on Ridwell, so you're the one covering that. So I will follow up with you on some clarifying questions in terms of the situation. I continue to be informed by what our staff has discussed with us in open meetings that led to our decisions in public meetings about the programs to serve our community. So I just wanted to share that there's different information in the public eye that, boy, it goes in all kinds of different directions. So I just want to make sure that I'm still on the solid path of that, and that there hasn't been some change that is different than what our decision making was previously. Sorry to be long-winded about that.
And I think it's just not them. Perhaps the lawyers just not understanding the structures. So in the original federal complaint, they said they had 1,600 customers in Washington County. And so Washington County, of course, includes all of the cities in Washington County. Yeah. So I asked them, we have not had a chance to discovery yet because we moved to dismiss that case. So if we have discovery, we'll actually find out where those customers are. I asked them informally what their number was, and they said that it's 1,900 customers in the unincorporated county. And they have not broken that down for me in by whether or not they're in the urban or rural unincorporated areas. So I don't know what the actual number is, and I'm not sure they know actually. So again, that's something that will come out in discovery if we go that far. I'm hoping that the court dismisses the case so that we don't actually need to do that. But
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Ms. Taniguchi Dennis, Clean Water Services.
Thank you, Chair Harrington, and good morning to the Board of Clean Water Services. I have a couple of announcements. The Clean Water Advisory Committee and Budget Committee Chair, Terry Song, will be joining our Chief Financial Officer, Kathy Leader, for the staff report prior to this morning's public hearing on the Clean Water Services proposed budget. The final applicant review comments on our watershed-based permit was submitted to DEQ, and the comments were thorough. They were detailed and very well done to implement the regulatory compliance requirements that are going to be necessary to meet the needs of the Tualatin River for the next 5 years. And I would like to specifically recognize the team for their very hard work. Bob Baumgartner led this work with DEQ and with his core team from regulatory compliance and environmental services with Jamie Hughes, Julia Crown, Joy Ramirez, and fully supported by Kirsten Losley and Jody Newcomer, because it's an extremely technical document that needs full editing and review. Additionally, the work was supported by our multidisciplinary team with the Research and Innovation Director, Dr. Ken Williamson, and our regulatory strategist, Raj Kapoor, as well as the team from Water Resources Recovery, Utility Operations, NSES, also Tracy Rainey and Mark Jockers for Public Communication and Government Affairs, and Joe Gall with David Reishi and Andy Braun from Regional Utility Services. And the engagement with Seawack and the cities on this permit renewal provided immense insights and comments that made it a very meaningful renewal for this region. So I wanted to say a direct kudos to the team on a very good job and a well done. So I'm hoping the board will join me in this. The Water Research Foundation CEO Peter Gravatt will be coming to Oregon to visit Clean Water Services on July 28th and to discuss water research and innovation and our Ripple programs. And I'm hoping to provide an opportunity for the board if you have time to meet with him. I also want to acknowledge that Dr. Ken Williamson will be retiring from Clean Water Services on June 30th. Ken has contributed significantly to Clean Water Services, and we want to thank him for his 10 years of dedicated service. Ken shared yesterday that he originally thought he would only work part-time for a few years after retiring from Oregon State University with Clean Water Services, but he ended up pretty much working full-time and staying with us for 10 years because of the work that he was able to do. And yesterday, he presented to the business partner team internally to Clean Water Services, the economics of Clean Water Services and the environmental impact. So he continues to provide great input to us and to help us as we shape our strategies moving forward. And I hope the board will join me in thanking Ken for his significant insight and contributions to Clean Water Services. So that's all I have for today.
Towards the Water Resource Foundation CEO coming to visit CWS and Ripple on site Thursday, July 28th. Two of us will be away on summer vacation, so that will put some pressure on the remaining three of Commissioner Rogers, Willie, and Phi to represent the board there. So just a heads up for everyone as you navigate calendar opportunities. Go ahead, Commissioner Rogers.
Two things quickly. Yeah, Diane, I'd be happy to attend. I think that's a significant event. And secondly, I think I can speak for the board, but let them do that. In regard to Ken, he's just been a marvelous addition. I remember when he came to the organization and had such outstanding credentials at Oregon State in regard to all of the things that he did, including writing textbooks that I think a lot of folks in the business now have taken at various universities and looked at his materials. But he's been a stalwart. Thank him for doing much more than anyone could expect that a retired person was supposed to do. But thank him. He's been terrific.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. I really appreciate your highlighting Ken's longevity, right? And the amazing stature of Clean Water Services with regard to research and implementing that research for the betterment not only of Clean Water Services and our customers here in the Tualatin watershed, but across the United States and the world through the industry, as exemplified just recently, right, during the COVID epidemic, and the caliber of the Dr. Williamson and the other researchers that he has brought into Clean Water Services for the benefit of public health. It's just truly amazing. And I know that based upon his contribution in the not quite 4 years that I've been serving on the board of directors, he is so well thought of throughout the United States and the world that he has had not only in his prior academic career, but here in his direct industry career, tremendous impact for the betterment of our planet and humanity. So thank you, Dr. Williamson. And I would encourage other commissioners, if you have comments that you would like to contribute at this time, please do. It's been so amazing for me to have the different tours and to see how the research has evolved over the years and how it is applied each and every day by the team. Go ahead, Commissioner Treese. Thank you.
I just want to say that I have really appreciated getting to know Ken, and he did such a great job for me of making incredibly complex situations understandable, and that speaks to his knowledge base, his intelligence, and his willingness and ability to translate it to lay people. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I would agree with Pam on her comments there with Ken. I've always enjoyed listening to him because he could dumb it down from my standpoint and get me to at least process it. He brings has brought for the last 10 years as such a value to Clean Water Services. It's going to be hard to find a replacement for him. I guess just because of his perspective and his love for what he was doing. And I really am going to miss him because I appreciate having those conversations and certainly getting the information from him. So good luck with that, Diane, on finding someone to fill that hole. But I'm sure that I'm sure you'll be successful in doing that. But we will miss him.
Diane, I echo what everyone said. You do have your work cut out, sounds like. And let us know how we can help. And best of luck to you, Ken, and in your future endeavors. And don't forget to tune in to our board meeting once in a while, and do testify here, especially if there's a Clean Water Services topic here. And just so to say hi, sign up, and look forward to it and to hearing from you, and good luck to your retirement, future endeavor.
Great. Anything else, Diane?
No, thank you, Chair and Board.
So do we still have time to go over the CWAC recruiting briefing at this time?
Yes, so Mark Jockers will be presenting that item. So there he is.
Okay, thank you, Chair and members of Clean Water Services Board. Kevin was just promoting me, so I was kind of in the virtual world there. Just doing a quick heads up for the board that we are going to begin recruitment for Clean Water Services Advisory Commission. Our commission includes 13 members that are appointed by the board to serve 4-year terms. Approximately a quarter of those terms expire each year, so we don't have a major turnover. So we have 4 positions whose terms will be expiring this year. They include the builder developer position, which has long been held by Tony Weller, who will not be seeking reappointment, but is working with me and staff as to who he would recommend to bring forward. The other one is the business representative, currently held by Stu Peterson, who would like to continue to serve, and he will resubmit for that application. The environmental 2 position is held by Lori Hennings, a long-term member of the commission, who is actually stepping down after several terms now. And the last one is the District 4 position, which is currently held by Andy Dyke, and I do not know his intentions about moving forward. Concurrent with this, the appointment that we made, the at-large appointment that Chair Harrington made last year, Fatima Taha has opened up. Fatima has taken a job out of the region and no longer lives in the basin. And then also we continue to move forward with the District 2 recruitments. Our goal would be to bring back candidates to the board for your review at the end of August, with appointments to be made in September. So I will certainly be happy to work with any of you individually. If you have specific people, I will think about you, Commissioner Willie and Commissioner Harrington with the District 4 position in particular. If you have individuals you have an interest in, or we can bring people forward, we will be doing that as well. So any questions that I can answer?
Commissioner Rogers, go ahead.
Mark, Tony Weller and I have known each other for a ton of years, way back to when he was a counselor in the city of 12, and then he left there many years ago and has just done one, in my mind, outstanding job. I don't, Tony's busy with his own business, and I don't see him much, maybe once or twice a year. But would you convey from me and maybe others that he's just been a stalwart. I mean, he's been doing great, and I'm going to miss him. I didn't know he was not re-upping, and I can understand people want to do different things, but thank him. I mean, it's been a lot of years of great service from Tony.
We have been very, very fortunate to have Tony on the commission, and he's brought a great deal of stability and knowledge, and his past work as a city councilor was very valuable. Well,
I'm not quite sure what your ask is of us today.
I'm sorry that I'm not clear about that. Main thing is just to notify you that we're going to move forward. And if you have any direction in terms of how to move forward on that, we're happy to take it. Otherwise, we'll follow our standard process here and keep the board informed as we move forward.
I know I'll have further information for you later in the week as well. So
perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, quick question. Sorry, I forgot to write that down for myself. It sounds like there will be and there will need to be a process for the opening up, that the applications are open and a full recruitment. Could you please remind me of how long the applications are usually sought? What is the time period for seeking applications versus going through, you and the team usually interview folks, and then we have a work session to sync up on recommendations from there. How long does that process usually take and the different milestones?
So what I'll tell you in this particular process, we will open today. So we will start formally recruiting today. We've already kind of laid the groundwork on some of that, with the idea that applications we'll accept applications through, I think, the 3rd week of August, at which point we will begin looking at how we interview people as those things come in, then come back to the board with those candidates and seek any additional information you need. And then 2 weeks following that, or 3 weeks following that, we'll come to the board for formal appointment.
So it
Okay.
sounds like applications are open for 8 weeks and then proceed from there.
Yep. Our goal is to get these appointed by the end of September.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions, commissioners? Sounds like we're all on board with the process.
Thank you very much.
Terrific. All righty. So after this, we will come back to work session at 1 p.m. But right after this morning session of work session, we will have the Housing Authority Board of Directors meeting. And subsequent to that, the Washington County Board of Commissioners regular business meeting. There was one item that was pulled from the original published agenda, from the consent agenda. Item 15 has been pulled. And with both the Washington County budget as well as Clean Water Services, there will be some presentations on that. So item D1 was added with the budget message from our county administrator. And then on item E1, the public hearing and rate adoption of rates and charges for the fiscal year. As mentioned, Ms. Taniguchi Dennis mentioned that the chair of the Clean Water Services Budget Committee, Terry Song, will be presenting or present with a presentation by the CFO, Kathy Leader. And we have many different public hearings, all related to the different service districts and the associated budget adoption processes, all to get done before the end of the fiscal year.
Chair Harrington?
Yes, Miss Angie.
Yep, one additional change that I was just notified about is relating to the PowerPoint attachment for item E3, the SDL public hearing. So Clerk Moss will be updating the packet with the correct presentation, and I would ask that staff note what difference in the presentation is compared to the published packet.
Great. Thank you for bringing that forward. Board members, do you have any questions? Nope. Since going through all that will be a bit lengthy, I would suggest that we take a 15-minute break before we start our subsequent meetings. So we'll pick up with our Housing Authority Board meeting at 10:15. Is that a-okay with everyone? Give everyone a chance of a break. Okay, then. We'll see you on the subsequent leaks at 10:15. Thank you.